In with Ian, thank you.
Frank, hello, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Update us with things on the injury front regarding your squad for the weekend. How are we with Rudiger, Kante, Barkley, Christensen, Loftus-Cheek?
Loftus-Cheek's well out. He's still well into his recovery. Rudiger won't be ready for the weekend, but getting closer. He's training outside with us. N'Golo won't be ready. He's training on his own, really, with some physical work because he's had a few issues. And we need to get him right now because he's been in and out through the season, as we all know. Christensen's still out, and Ross Barkley is out as well. Not majorly out, just out. So hopefully fit for next week.
Anybody else? Any other concerns?
No.
Christian Pulisic has come on for the last 3 matches, has made quite an impact. Does he come into your thinking? Does he deserve a starting place, perhaps?
Well, I think, the way he's played, he deserves a starting place regularly in the last few weeks, but so do others, and that's what I keep saying is the nice problem that I have. But it's brilliant that he's coming on and making the impacts that he's making, and of course he'll get his starts. It's the reason he's here, to come here. But as I say, we've got Callum Hudson-Odoi, who's top class against Newcastle last week at home in terms of creation. Willian has been, I think I kind of declared him our best player in the great patch that we had of 4 or 5 games. So they're good options for me, and Christian is getting stronger and he's getting more in the group. And you keep saying it with players that come here, and some of them you have to give them a bit of time, particularly young players. And but he's playing well, so he's certainly in strong contention.
You were asked in midweek if you were scared of Ajax. Halloween is just around the corner. Is going to Turf Moor scary?
It's a really tough place to go. You thought about that question, didn't you? I respect them completely. They, in terms of, you say scary, I think they have a very strong way of playing that they know. They're well drilled. They're very efficient in how many times they get the ball into the box. So the 2 strikers, I think, give you big problems. I think they're fantastic, the 2 strikers, in the way they play together, whether they're fit or whoever his choices up front are. So it's a tough match, yeah. We respect every team, no matter who the opponent, and you have to respect the different strengths of every team, and that's the job. We've had a tight turnaround here, so it's been huge on recovery and getting the players fit and ready to go again, because it'll be a physical battle, and it will be probably most important going into this game is how much we look at Burnley and what they can do and what we can do to them. That's hopefully where we're at, but I expect a very tough match.
What have you made of Burnley so far this season?
Good, very good. Yeah, I think I've watched a lot of their games. As I say, they never give an easy game for the opponent. They're scoring goals. What I think is what we've made of Burnley for the last few seasons. I know they had a tough time when they first got into Europe at the early stages of last season, but they're always a difficult game. Have been for Chelsea over recent years as well at different times. I expect no different.
Last one, Ian, please.
He hasn't got one.
Do you have any news on what might be going on in January? Are we any closer with Cass coming to a decision? Do you think you might be able to bring players in? And if you do, is there a danger that it changes the whole dynamic?
I don't know, is the answer. I don't know if we can. That's not completely in my hands, so I wouldn't want to speculate on whether we can or can't. In a minute we can't. So I'm just concentrating on what's ahead of us in terms of the squad that we've got now. A club like Chelsea we'll always be looking, can we improve the squad if there's potential of bringing players in, but at the moment I don't know the answer.
John.
Frank, 6 wins on the trot. Are you actually ahead of where you thought you would be at this stage of the season?
I didn't consider points or positions necessarily. I knew I wanted us to be competitive, of course, but I just considered pre-season, okay, what can we do here? What's in front of me? What's in front of us as staff, and the ideas that we want to get across to the team. And I'm pleased. I'm pleased with the last 6 games. There are bits before that I'm less pleased or more pleased with. I thought we could have picked up more points in the early stage of the season. Sometimes our performances, I think, warranted that. But we've worked hard to get to a patch where we've got well-deserved wins. So I'm just pleased, but I'm very focused on the fact that I want it to continue.
The young players, we've spoken a lot about young players, but have they surprised you how well they've actually done, especially when you go to somewhere like Ajax in the week and perform like they did in the week?
It surprised me. I don't know. I mean, they're very new to the Champions League, so I think I feel as a player, having played in it a lot, I know the difficulties of the Champions League and the different problems it gives a young player, and I think they've adapted to that brilliantly. Surprised? No, I believed in them at the start of the season. That's why I made certain decisions pre-season about the squad. In terms of keeping players or looking at them, can you play in the first team? So I had that belief, so I wouldn't say I'm completely surprised.
I just want to go to Kante. Are you concerned by these injuries? As you say, he's had little niggles along this season, and you say you've now got to try and get it right. How long do you think this is going to be?
I don't know. I just want him fit. So I think he's played a lot of football for 4 years. He's had a big injury off the back of last season, so I think maybe he is suffering from that big injury and a little fallout from that. So I think it's now time to take a small step back, just to get his fitness up and be confident that we won't have a domino effect of small injuries. So that's where we're at. So there's no actual time frame at the minute.
Antonio Rudiger, because this one seems to be stretching out for quite.
Yeah, he had a bad injury. He didn't play since April. Played half a game against Wolves. So this is again a fallout of last season's injuries for us. That's unfortunately the nature of it. We've lost Ruben, we've lost Rudy, we've lost Kante to a big degree at the start of the season, and a few others. So I think we need to remember that, and I suppose that's good news, hopefully long term. But Rudy's close now, as I said earlier, so he should be hopefully involved with us over the next week or two.
Moose.
2 1-0 wins in the last week. Different kind of games. One you dominated, one maybe you didn't dominate so much. But how pleasing are they that you're able to win games by scoring a lot of goals you did at Southampton, or win games, tight games like you have in the last week?
Yeah, that's been a great fact for us. Most in the last week, that Newcastle was a different challenge for us. We haven't had a team that have come to the bridge quite and really sat back and made it difficult, and fair play to them for that. They did it well. But we created a lot, we dominated, as you say, and the important thing then is to keep that clean sheet, which means just that one goal wins you the game. Ajax was a different animal, and the pleasure I got out of that was probably as much as I've had all season, because we went up against a top class opponent who were technically really difficult to play against, and our work ethic off the ball was huge. It was huge, and that's what I want always to be our base. And yes, we kept the clean sheet with our desire to defend. Azpilicueta making tackles in the 6-yard box, and the team as a group defending high up the pitch, stopping them getting up the pitch, and when we had to defend deep, we did it. So there's been loads of attributes, I think, in that week that we've shown, which are hopefully positive.
Are you starting to reassess the aims and ambitions from the start of the season because you're doing so well for the team?
No, I think that's a constant. I don't think. I think whether we win, lose or draw, my thought always goes instantly to the next game, and I don't go too far ahead. It's nice. It's a good feeling at the moment, and I want to keep that and temper it with a little bit of edginess, where we know that if we drop the standards, we'll fall back again. So I haven't sort of tempered too much the big picture. I'm not getting overly excited by it. It actually just makes me want to work a bit harder to see that the work we've done has given us some nice results recently. So it just sort of refocuses the mind even more so, I suppose.
And finally, I know you listen occasionally to Talk Sport. You may have heard Jason's comments this week that every other club bar City and Liverpool would like to be Chelsea. They've got an icon as a manager, and they've got loads of young players, talent coming through and winning games and looking good. What would you say to that? Do you think every other club wants to be Chelsea and every other manager wants to be you?
Certainly not. Certainly not. And I appreciate it from Jason, and I appreciate nice headlines and nice talk about the team, but I have to stay very closed to that myself, because the moment you take in those sort of statements and headlines at the moment, I think everybody won't want to be you because you drop your standards. So we're just doing what we're doing here. Everybody's working hard. I'm working hard. The staff work hard. We always want constant improvement, so we won't sit and compare ourselves to everyone else, although I thank him for the sentiment, I suppose.
Okay, last two, Nazar and then Lindsay.
Hi Frank, I just wanted to ask you, the sort of status of the players have changed this season, the youngsters are coming through, Abraham and Tomori. I was wondering if, you've tied up Mason Mount, I wonder if you wanted to tie up their contracts as well and just try to keep them at the club for a long time. Yeah,
of course I do, but that goes slightly out of my remit when they're dealing with the club. The club know that I love the players. I've brought them into the team this season and they're doing particularly well, but I leave those conversations to the club to discuss contracts. Of course, I would want them to be here for a long time.
Would your word be that they deserve it just from performances on the pitch?
That's a conversation for me and the club, I suppose. But I think I made it quite clear the first answer that they're playing really well and I want them to stay.
Okay, last question, Lindsay.
In your opinion, Frank, is Sean Dyche the shining beacon in terms of Premier League managers, showing that longevity can do well?
Yeah, in a case, I don't think maybe he's the only example of that. I think there have been others, but we know we live in a short-term world slightly. And what Sean has done over a long period of time is to get a club into the Premier League, sustain them, come up with a style of play that's really effective. We know the identity of them, whether people like it or not. I respect a manager who can be very firm about what he wants from his team and get good results out of it. And the club have stuck with that, and it's a very nice story. So yeah, and a huge respect to Sean for what he's done, because I know I'm in the job now similarly, and I know the hard work it takes to keep going year after year and get positive results. And there was maybe changes you have to make, you reinvent things, you learn yourself, all these things, and I'm sure he's gone through those little processes and he's done it very well.
Okay, cameras off, please.